There is a small kitchen in the Bronx on a Sunday afternoon in 1932, and a woman named Filomena is standing over a pot the size of a small barrel, stirring tomato sauce with a wooden spoon her own mother carved by hand in a village outside Naples. Down the basement stairs, her husband Vincenzo is bottling the wine he made last fall from grapes he hauled in by the crate from a fellow he knew on Mulberry Street. There is no money in the bank. There is no investment account. There is no retirement plan because the word retirement does not really exist in this house yet. And somehow by the time these two are buried side by side 50 years from now, every grandchild they ever held will own a home of their own, free and clear. Before we go any further, hit subscribe and tell me in the comments where your people came from, because I want to know if there was a Filomena and a Vincenzo at the top of your family tree too. You ride the train into the old neighborhoods now, Bensonhurst or the North End in Boston or South Philly, and you start to notice something the tour books never quite explain. The little brick row houses, the two-family places with the trellis out front, the basement windows half below the sidewalk, they all started as exactly the same thing. A family with almost nothing, a single steamer trunk, and a way of handling money that nobody at the bank ever taught them. The grandchildren of those families today own real estate, businesses, a kind of quiet generational wealth that most of America has been trying and failing to build for 3 or 4 decades now. And the strange part, the part that catches in your throat when you really sit with it, is that not one of those Italian habits required a job in the modern sense of the word. They built the whole thing while working for somebody else for $1 an hour. Number 20. The cantina in the basement. Every Italian-American home of that generation had a small dark room below the ground, dug into the cellar, and inside that room sat the entire grocery store of the family. Cured salami hanging from the rafters, glass demijohns of red wine stacked against the wall, mason jars of canned tomatoes by the 100, pickled peppers, eggplant under oil, dried beans in cloth sacks, garlic braids tied to the ceiling beam. The cantina was the food bill paid in advance for an entire year, and the Heinz History Center in Pittsburgh has the oral histories from dozens of Western Pennsylvania families documenting exactly how it worked. A family with a stocked cantina did not eat from the grocery store. They ate from the cellar, and the grocery store money stayed in the cigar box. Number 19. The Sunday gravy that stretched. Filomena made tomato sauce on Sunday morning, and that sauce fed the family until Wednesday. Sunday it was pasta and meatballs. Monday it was pasta with the leftover sauce. Tuesday the meatballs went into a sandwich for Vincenzo's lunch pail. Wednesday the last of it became soup with whatever vegetables were sitting in the garden. Nothing got thrown out and nothing got wasted, because wasting food in that house was very nearly a sin against the family that came over on the boat with nothing. The average American family today wastes about 30% of the food it buys, according to the United States Department of Agriculture. The Italian family of 1932 wasted almost none, and that difference alone was worth hundreds of dollars a year in a world where the rent was $30 a month. Number 18. The vegetable garden out the back door. There was no such thing as an Italian-American backyard without tomatoes against the fence, basil in pots on the steps, zucchini climbing the trellis, and figs growing out of a tree the old man had wrapped in tar paper to survive the winter. The garden was not a hobby, and it was not for the photographs. It was the produce aisle. From May through October, the family ate out of that small patch of dirt, and whatever they did not eat fresh, Filomena put up in jars on the cellar shelf for the months when nothing was growing. A working-class family with a real Italian garden saved a serious piece of the grocery bill every single year, and that piece compounded for decades. Number 17. The wine that turned a loophole into a tradition. first pattern break. Take a breath here. When the 18th Amendment went into effect in January of 1920 and Prohibition began, the Volstead Act left a single quiet door open. The head of a household was permitted to make up to 200 gallons of wine a year for personal consumption, perfectly legal, no tax, no permit. The Smithsonian National Museum of American History documented what happened next. California vineyard acreage went from about 300,000 acres in 1920 to 577,000 acres by 1927. Almost $100 million of new money flowed into vineyards during Prohibition itself, and a huge piece of that demand came straight from Italian-American families in New York and Pittsburgh and Boston who ordered grapes by the rail car, crushed them in the basement, and bottled the wine themselves. They never paid for a drink in a speakeasy. They drank their own wine for 14 straight years, while every other family in America was paying a fortune for whatever was poured out of an unmarked bottle. Number 16. The home that doubled as the paycheck. Italian-American families in Boston, Philadelphia, the Bronx almost never bought the single-family home. They bought the two-family, the three-family, the triple-decker. Giacomo Varnerin built one at 321 Norfolk Avenue in Dorchester in the 1890s, and it became the crucible of an entire Italian community. And that pattern repeated itself 10,000 times over in every Italian neighborhood in the Northeast. The family lived on the first floor, the cousins lived on the second. A young couple from the same village in Calabria rented the top floor for $30 a month, and that rent paid most of the mortgage. The roof over their heads was working for them while they slept, and by the time the old man retired, the building was paid off, and 3 generations were living in it together. Number 15. The Mutual Aid Society on the corner. Walk into Philadelphia in 1902, and you would find 41 of them, according to the historian Fenton writing in 1959. Italian mutual aid societies, named after villages or saints or kings, where every working family paid in a few dollars a month, and when somebody in the society got sick or hurt or passed away, the society paid the doctor and the funeral and the rent for the widow until she could get on her feet. It was insurance before the insurance company existed. It was a safety net the men built themselves, out of trust and 25 cents a week, and it kept hundreds of thousands of Italian families from ever once having to take a handout from anybody. Number 14. The immigrant banker who held the cash. In the years before most Italian immigrants trusted American banks, a man named Luigi Fugazi ran a small office in New York where ordinary working Italians could deposit their savings, send money back to relatives in the old country, get help writing a letter, and book passage on a steamship. Wikipedia documents him in detail. Born in Liguria in 1839, an officer who served under Garibaldi himself before he came to America. Poor Italians lined up at his door because they trusted him in a way they did not trust the big banks downtown. Their money sat with him, safe from the thieves and the con artists, and when they needed it back, it was there. Trust at that scale, between a community and one man with a desk, is something the modern financial system simply does not produce anymore. Number 13. The family that worked as one paycheck. Before the First World War, less than 1% of Italian-American children were enrolled in high school. The number is not a typo. The historian Marcella Bensaveni and the older immigrant historians both documented it. The reason was simple. The family worked together as a single economic unit. The father at the construction site, the mother taking in piecework sewing at the kitchen table, the boys shining shoes on the corner, the girls helping with the boarders. Every single dollar pooled into the same envelope at the end of the week. A family of 7 bringing in 7 small paychecks built wealth faster than any single father ever could on his own. And the children understood from the time they could walk that the family came first and they came after. Number 12. The remittance back to the village. Almost every working Italian immigrant in those first decades sent money home. Real money, every month, folded inside a letter to a mother or a sister in Calabria or Sicily, sometimes $30 at a time, which was a week's wages at the docks. According to the Yale historian Thomas J. Archdeacon, of the 4 million Italians who entered the United States between 1899 and 1924, 46% eventually went home. They went home with the savings they had built in America, bought land back in Italy, and lived on it for the rest of their lives. The other half stayed, and the remittance habit became something else entirely. It became the habit of sending money to whoever needed it more than you did. Family first, every single month, without fail. Number 11. The boarder in the spare room. Second pattern break. Sit with this one. Italian-American homes almost always had a young man from the village staying in the spare bedroom, usually a cousin or the son of a cousin or somebody from the same town in the old country. He paid $5 a week for the room, ate at the family table, helped Vincenzo with the heavy work on the weekend. That $5 a week was $20 a month in income that never appeared on any tax form anywhere, never showed up on any ledger, and it bought the family an extra winter of coal every single year. The boarder was family, the family was capital, and the line between the two was so thin nobody ever quite drew it. Number 10. The trade learned in the kitchen. Italian children learned a trade before they learned anything else. The boy who watched his father lay brick on the construction site at 9 years old could lay brick himself at 15, and by 20 he had a small crew of his own. The girl who watched her mother alter clothes by hand could open a small dressmaking shop by 22. The Seven Santini Brothers of the Bronx, the eldest Pasquale born to a farmer in the Tuscan hills, started their moving and storage company in 1905 with 5 brothers and added the 2 younger brothers in 1907, 7 Italian boys, 1 family company, and they ran it together until 1993 when the firm finally dissolved. 88 years of one family making a living off a trade they taught each other for free. Number 9. The savings that lived in cash, hidden in the house. The bank failures of the 1890s, the panic of 1907, and the bank holiday of 1933 taught Italian immigrants something they never forgot. The bank could close. The bank could lose your money. The bank could turn you away at the window for reasons you would never understand. So a portion of the family savings lived at home, in cash, rolled up in a sock in the dresser, taped to the back of a holy picture, hidden inside the cantina behind a loose brick. It was not a fortune. It was the rainy day fund, and when the rainy day came, and it always came, the money was there, calm and certain and Italian. Number 8. The home cooking that fed the family for pennies. La cucina povera, the cooking of the poor, was the genius of the Italian kitchen, and it is also why those families ate like kings on almost no money. A pound of dried beans cost a nickel, a few cents of tomato, a clove of garlic, a handful of stale bread broken into the pot, a tin of olive oil that lasted a month, and you fed a family of 7 a meal that nobody at the table ever forgot. The grandchildren of those families today pay $35 for the same plate at a restaurant in Manhattan. The dish never changed. The price did. Number 7. The compare and the comare. The godfather and the godmother of an Italian child were not ceremonial titles. They were a second set of parents, financially and otherwise, and they took the responsibility seriously. If the father passed away early, the compare stepped in and made sure the children ate. If the daughter got married, the comare contributed to the corredo, the dowry chest of linens and household goods that every Italian bride brought to her new home. The godparent network was a second insurance policy, written in blood and trust, paying out across decades and never once charging a premium. Number 6. The cash deal that walked away with a discount. Italian-American families paid for almost everything in cash, and cash on the counter had power in a way nobody under 50 really understands anymore. When Vincenzo went to buy a coal stove, he carried the money in his coat pocket and asked the man what he could do for cash on the spot. No financing, no payments. 9 times out of 10, the man knocked a few dollars off the printed price because cash that day beat the maybe of a payment plan stretched over 6 months. That was not rudeness. That was just how grown men did business with each other. Number 5. The gold worn on the body, the wedding ring, the chain around the neck, the small earrings on the granddaughter on her first communion day. Italian families did not just buy jewelry for the beauty of it. They bought small gold pieces with every spare bit of money, and the gold went on the body, worn every day, traveling with the woman wherever she went. When the worst day came, the day the husband lost his job, or the family had to move, or the medicine had to be paid for, the gold came off the neck and went to the small Italian jeweler on the corner, and the family lived another month. The bank could fail. The dollar could lose value. The gold did neither. Number 4. The house that became 3 houses. By the second generation, Italian-American families started doing something nobody had taught them. They took the equity from the paid-off triple-decker in Brooklyn and bought another one in Queens, and then another in the Bronx, and then a small piece of vacation land in the Catskills. The Census Bureau has the data on homeownership rates by ethnic group, and Italian Americans by mid-century were among the highest in the country. The first house was paid for. The rent from the second house bought the third. By the time the grandchildren were grown, there were 4 addresses with the same family name on the deed. Number 3. The lump sum at the church door. When a son got married, or a daughter graduated, or a baby got baptized, every relative who walked through the church door brought an envelope, not flowers, not a card with a sentimental note. An envelope with cash in it, $20, $50, or $100, depending on the closeness. By the end of a single wedding day, an Italian-American couple in 1960 could walk out of the reception hall with $5,000 in cash to start their life with. That was not a gift in the sentimental sense. It was the family pooling capital across generations, recycling money back into the next household just as it was beginning. Number 2. The land back in the old country. Even after the family settled in America for good, almost every first-generation Italian held onto a small piece of property back in the village in Italy. A few acres of olive trees in Calabria, a small house in a Sicilian hill town, a vineyard parcel in Abruzzo. They paid the taxes every year by wire transfer, never sold the land, and visited every summer if they could. By the time the second and third generations inherited it, that little piece of European real estate was worth a fortune. A lot of Italian-American families have one of those quietly sitting in their estate to this very day. Number 1. All of it, working together, year after year, for 60 straight years. None of these was clever on its own. The cantina, the garden, the wine in the basement, the triple-decker with the border upstairs, the mutual aid society dues, the gold on the woman's neck, the trade taught from father to son, the envelope at the church door. Every single one of these was small, but Filomena and Vincenzo did all of them at the same time, year after year after year, and stacked together, they built something that looks almost impossible from where we are standing now. An ordinary working family, a single small house in the Bronx that became 4 houses spread across 2 states, a small business that fed 3 generations, and not one phone call from a collection agency ever in 80 straight years. They are gone now, both of them. The kitchen in the Bronx belongs to strangers. The cantina was bricked over by some young couple who moved in 20 years ago and had no idea what it was. The wooden spoon Filomena's mother carved in the village outside Naples is in a drawer in a daughter's house in New Jersey. The handle is smooth and dark from 100 years of being held. The wine demijohns are gone. The vegetable garden is a small patio with a grill on it, but the grandchildren own their homes. The great-grandchildren are starting to inherit pieces of land in villages they have never visited. And somewhere in a small house in Calabria tonight, a young Italian woman is opening a letter from a cousin in America with money inside. She is opening it the same way Filomena's mother opened one 100 years ago, and the line has not broken once, not in 4 generations, not in a single year.